There is an atrocity that's happening in the UK. We're at a crisis point where things are so bad. It's a bit like the early days of the Holocaust. Nobody believed it. They thought it was all propaganda. And that's the situation that we're up against now, because the situation is that children are being abducted, unlawfully removed, forcibly removed from loving, caring, totally innocent parents. No reason whatsoever to remove the children completely from a family. Using force, physical force, they call the police in. Anyway, that's how bad the situation is. And just to explain, I'll give you a quick bit of history. In 1983, they privatised social services. Now, this was part of a much bigger plan to destroy working class families. And we can see this actually happening in 1983. There's a chart, I'll put it on the screen. And it shows in 1983, there was a massive, massive increase in the number of reports of child abuse. The reason for that was because, for one thing, it was the government at the time, 1983. Look up Orgreave if you want to know the full or see the full story. But the government wanted to dismantle the trade unions, and one way that it did that was to destroy the factories and the mines and the villages and towns that relied on those mines and industries. And this obviously caused utter chaos amongst working class people. So then to make any money, I mean, how else are you going to make any money? Remember the boom in the 80s? Let me tell you how that started off. Because in 1983, Maggie Thatcher, I believe it was, who actually privatised the social services. Now, the social effect of that was devastating because it meant that instead of people reporting children being abused because they were suffering from harm or whatever, any kind of abuse, whatever, that didn't matter anymore. The number of children being reported as abused, it skyrocketed because Maggie Thatcher privatised social services, allowing other people to buy shares in adoption agencies trading abroad and in children's homes here in the UK. So it meant that one way or another, all these investors were making a fortune because each child, and I've heard of a child many, many moons ago, I heard of a child going for 350,000. Now, God knows what they go for now. But it depends on the child's colouring, the colour of eyes, their hair, the skin, everything. That's what determines whether or not these children are being abducted. So we know why these children are being sold abroad, and it's most likely to be breeding stock. So that the people who are selling these children are making an absolute fortune, and it's so much money that multimillionaires like our Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and his family, they had multiple shares in these adoption agencies because they were so lucrative. Every year, more and more children were going into adoption agencies and being sold abroad. So that meant that the people who invested in social services, privatized social services, were making a fortune. Now, there is not one MP, not one political party. No one wants to talk about this. So let's keep in mind that a lot of these reasons why these children are going is purely fictitious and it's purely made up politically, like a political propaganda. For instance, I'll give you one it's just a classic. It's so common, everybody believes it, that men are the main perpetrators of abuse. And I've even heard it said, oh, it's white men that do all this. Really? Well, it's Ireland who ranks second in the world as the safest country for women and children. It's round about 78% of Irish women feel safe walking home alone at night. Not many countries can claim that. So we know for a fact that it's nothing to do with the number of men. or how close they are to the men in their family. In fact, the closer they are to the men in the family, the safer they are. So we know that there's no need for these families to be split apart. We know that there's no need to remove children from innocent parents. The only reason we can think of, and the only logical reason to follow on from that, is money. And the charity has a way of dealing with these things. I suggest you go on to look at parentingtogether.co.uk and just see what kind of projects there are to help protect your children from this. The only thing that we struggle against, and I'll be honest with you, I'd love to do it for everyone, but I can't. It's too expensive and it takes up far too much time. But we can challenge social services if you go the right way about it. And the outcome from all of this is that if we get involved with a family, the chances are as soon as we start, social services will back off because I will challenge them. I will challenge a social services or a social worker the same way that they challenge parents, except that I'll be using the truth and facts to prove to the judge or to the sheriff that these children were taken unlawfully, maliciously removed for no reason. And I can prove that. So I want you all to concentrate and to get as many MPs as you possibly can involved with this, challenge them. We're coming up to an election, and that will be the time to confront these people at their meetings when they're saying what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. Ask them what they're going to do about unlawfully abducted children sold abroad. What are they going to do about those children, about those parents? Are you going to compensate the parents for having the children unlawfully removed from them? Because they certainly deserve some compensation for all that. They certainly deserve some kind of recompense for having their children, the pride of their life, all of their life, removed from them. This is so sad and it's so disappointing and it's so distressing.